for November 4th. It's 5:30. Ask if anybody else is recording. Seeing no one? Nope. Okay, so if this is being recorded by the local cable and being broadcast, and will be up on their site to be reviewed. So call this meeting to order. We got a couple of housekeeping items to deal with. The first on the agenda is approving meeting minutes. Last meeting we had a meeting minute from 9/16 that we had a motion on. We missed having a second before we voted on it, so we were gonna wait for one to come back here, so we're still in quorum when we get the vote.
Yeah, we added one, so.
Okay.
Now that the door's unlocked.
No, it's
So-
open. Without the thing.
So Kevin Kennedy had made the motion to approve the 9/16/2024 meeting minutes, and we didn't have a second, so I can take a second.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussions? Nope. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All those opposed? None. So it's a vote for approving those. So Heather sent out this week the meeting minutes for the 10:15 meeting, and it's out there. I don't know if there's any issues or with it. If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve those.
Given that we didn't get a second, the one thing that was missing on my mind was the motion to approve previous minutes, but since we didn't actually do it, we don't need it, so I think it's fine. So I'll make a motion to approve the October 15th meeting minutes.
All right. Second. Okay. Any discussions, questions? Other than the minor update of not approving something, but I think you left that out of there anyway.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah, because we didn't technically
Okay.
approve.
So all those in favor of approving the October 15th meeting minutes?
Aye.
All those opposed? And it's a vote. Next on the agenda was just a review of the committee's directions. Had some questions and different stuff coming up lately. There was a vote by the town meeting members to purchase the land at 10 Prospect Street. And then they had money available within that purchase price to demo it and do some other items and stuff of that. And I think they also voted on a presentation to hire an architect to start working on stuff. And then the selectmen got it here someplace, I think it was August of last year, the 2023, had disbanded the original Public Safety Facilities Committee and made a recommendation to create a new committee just to look at building a fire station on the 10 Prospect Street lot, and understanding that there's been quite a bit of work done previously by the previous committees in terms of feasibility studies and looking at existing buildings and what could be done or not done and everything. We're just stipulating that we're moving forward with just looking at a fire station on this property, or fire rescue headquarters here, and that our mission right at the moment is to get something into town meeting by springtime, and if they approve it, plans and budget, then it'll go to town vote in the town elections in May of next year. So that's kind of where we are. Any questions, concerns about remembering?
Seeing that it's in that,
Okay, sorry.
seeing that it's
Yep.
in this stage, in between,
Yep.
I've been thinking about the OPM, owner's project manager, and it doesn't seem like it's necessary yet
Well,
to
it's
spend the money,
okay.
because you're telling me that it wasn't the town meeting that knocked down the public service building, it was the Board of Selectmen that said no.
Yes. It was never, this, all the work that they did and the previous presentations and stuff that they came up with and stuff, they did not ever present that as to the town, meeting.
It seems to me that the original purpose of the land was for the public service building and the central dispatch operation.
Central dispatch was only, as Chief Coleman, he's not here right now, but as he explained at the beginning, was only as an ad alternate to the building, really. And it was, because if they could get it approved and it was going forward, then the state would pay for the fit out of that space and stuff. you know,
Okay,
or
and we
contribute
found
money.
out at a previous meeting that the surrounding towns said no to the dispatch
Correct.
operations being in Auburn. So
In
it's-
the fire station.
In,
the fire
in,
station.
housed in a fire
So-
station or, yeah.
to me, there's two things now. There's two things now that are negative about the piece of property that's been purchased at Chuck's. One is the public service building is not being pursued, so we don't need that much land. Number two, the dispatch operations being in Auburn has been not voted, but turned down by the surrounding towns, so that doesn't seem like that's a consideration for the new building either. And I question why we're putting a new building there,
Through the
instead of
chair.
fixing the
Well, I
existing
mean, that's
facilities.
where I had said that with the previous committees and stuff, they'd already looked at feasibilities of renovating this building, you know, West Street, the renovating Drury Square, doing everything. And, you know, to meet the needs and stuff, it doesn't, you know, none of them could do what they needed. And so they're, right now, that's the direction that the selectmen gave us for this committee, is to look at this property for building a fire rescue headquarters
I
building here.
understand that.
I mean, we're leaving space for a potential fire, you know, police, but we have no idea when, how big, whatever, you know, that they would need. So, I mean, we're leaving space available on the property.
I also understand that one of our primary concerns would be to have the decontamination facility for the firefighters to take care of themselves when they come back to the station.
Yep.
Have we ever looked into a decontamination trailer that could be set up on the fire sites before they come back into the building to take care of that issue?
I don't know if it,
It's a different kind of issue. It's more than just decontamination from when you come back. It's also to keep the air quality in the station better, with separation between the gear that offsets gas throughout the whole entire day. It's more than just decontamination from coming back from a call. It's a larger process. In regards to your other comments, you know, through the chair here, the committee that was established before us did look at renovation. We went through an extensive process, looked at the cost benefit, and the cost was actually going to be more to renovate at the time. As far as the public safety complex, in that we looked at it, we ran some costs, town management was given the cost. They chose not to bring it forward to the voters due to, at the time, the cost had escalated. It was higher. They didn't think it would be palatable to the taxpayers. So they opted to drop it off. The police chief withdrew his request for the police station at the time. The operations, as far as for dispatch, it was never a part of any of this process, never a part of a fire station. But it came up afterwards, after many years of going through it and saying, hey, this could be a possibility to help the police department gain a little bit more space and renovate until they're able to get a new building. So that's, the dispatch wasn't really tied to it. We just thought it was a possibility. And then when the other communities decided that they didn't want to in a fire station on that, and now we're here at the committee, and that's a committee's decision to move forward, I believe, with the project without the dispatch. So the dispatch isn't really tied to any of this project or the buildings, and
there were some questions that were taken back to town manager and selectmen about the dispatch and everything, and they said they agreed to for us to totally ignore it.
Okay.
And they're not gonna, they're gonna, if they do something, that there's a possibility that they'd look at a separate facility for that, if
Okay.
it went to a regional or something, but that's not gonna be considered as part of the fire station or anything as we move forward here.
So what he's describing is my major concern. All this stuff was done before this. And now we've been told that the square foot cost has gone from $400 to $1,000 a square foot. So my major concern with all this, that we're doing,
I'm sorry, where did you get that number?
$1,000 a square foot from the
It was-
architects.
No, it was never 400.
That number was never presented.
No,
I'm aware of.
400's like that's a,
15 years ago.
yeah, that was,
We were told when we were here,
I think 900 to 1,000.
that's now.
Right,
That's
well, it's
now.
not 1,000 if it's 900 to 1,000.
Okay, 900, right? But it's gone, it's doubled since the public service building idea that was brought to
it's like a fit out.
a vote or was considered by the Board of Selectmen. So my major concern is that when we go through this whole effort here, that we're gonna come up with a lot more money than what we think we've been allocated or that we've had presented to us prior to now. I think it's gonna be double.
Through the chair. We have not been given a number, we have not been given a budget. The only money that's been allocated to date for any of this has been, there was a feasibility study done 6, 8 years ago now. There was a allotment of money to hire the architect to do conceptual drawings, which has progressed from public safety to now what we've been dealing with. And then we have a warrant article on this upcoming town meeting to get money for those are costs of other buildings.
Right. That's square footage.
That's square footage. Okay. So we have not been given a budget. We do not have a budget. Our
that's-
purview
Yeah.
is to craft this to a budget that we can recommend to take to the voters. And it's up to the voters whether they want to approve the budget or not. A decision was made prior that the number that the public safety building came in at was not going to be palatable for the voters, so no need to bring it to town meeting or the voters if you know it's not going to get passed. So that's when the project shifted to just Fire HQ replacement. And so our purview is to design and put a project together for that to take to voters. So I don't know that it's our purview to say, well, I think this is more expensive than I want to pay, so the whole committee should just not do it. Right? Our purview, our mandate from the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, is to put the project together to put to the voters, not to make a decision on whether the project should happen or not. So I don't understand where the line of questioning is coming on what should be done or the line of inquiry that's being made, both on the committee and outside the committee.
Because of the cost considerations that we were told before. And I can't remember the exact number that we were told we were shooting for. I didn't say it was a budget, but we had ideas in mind,
I mean, I think
discussed them.
in our first meeting, the Chief Coleman provided some budgets from area fire stations and police stations and stuff.
Yeah, you did.
That's kind of that was kind of this is what's gone on around us and everything, but it wasn't a really we're thinking that we're going to stay at X, or,
Okay.
I don't think.
Just like when you buy a house, it's like a comp. I mean, yeah.
I think that's also why we want the OPM on board early, because they're gonna help with these numbers ahead of time, get everything, help us package it, and get it ready for the voters. No matter what happens in the next few months, to get something together with the voters, we do need to be prepared for it. And I think that's where the OPM, their main goal for the first few months is to prepare for the town vote with us, give us the necessary resources that we need to be educated in doing that. And then their second task, in my opinion, discussed as a group, is to prepare for the what if we succeed or the vote succeeds, right, in moving forward, because we don't also want to be caught off guard if the vote succeeds, then want to be prepared to take that next step too.
May I ask what the number was that the Board of Selectmen thought would not pass through the town meeting for the public service building?
through the chair. I believe it was $78 million. I believe
the
that was a
number
number
itself,
when I was,
there was
when I was
also-
doing the presentation, I came across that on one of the
Yeah.
other presentations.
I don't know where the exact number was. I know some other people were on it, but there's also, I think there were land issues too. Wasn't there some land taking that needed to happen? And
There was some land issues.
yeah, so it was not just, I mean, it was budget, yes, definitely.
I believe the town manager at the time said they did not want to entertain any eminent domain activities, and then that kind of slowed down, and then that got us looking elsewhere. And, you know, obviously, like you said, the police department pulled out. We found the truck site. It's big enough to house another future building, whatever it is down the road. I mean, I don't think we need to be discussing not utilizing that land at this point. I don't think that's our job. I think we've already determined that that's the site, and we just need to put the project in front of the voters.
You know, I'm just trying to think of a way to present it to the voters that's going to be palatable. You know, and I see the issues as things we have to surmount in a way that we can get it done.
Well, I mean, some of it's educational. I mean, that's why we took the tours and stuff, and to understand where we are, where, you know, newer facilities are and needs and everything. And, you know, try to bring that into play. I mean, even as we did with the schools and stuff, you know, it was all part of educating everybody and, you know, needs and wants and, you know, the best practices and stuff, so.
And I think the other thing that, and maybe we can get some more information as we go along, but a lot of work has gone into this already prior to us forming. So there have been studies, there's been work on alternatives, there's been a lot of that that led to, let's do it this way. So, and I think as a committee, we just have to respect those decisions and not relitigate, you know, that whole process. I think we can get some more information as we go along here about what that actually was and so, you know, so that we are comfortable that, you know, with what was done. But I know I went back through everything recently as best I could as I was putting a little draft presentation together for a town meeting that we'll go through as number 4 on the agenda. So that will sort of, I think, help fill in the pieces as well a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you know, I guess bottom line, I would say we have to kind of trust and accept the fact that there was a lengthy process that came to the decision that 10 Prospect and a Fire HQ replacement is the most viable way forward to address the needs that I would hope everybody sees are relatively obvious in terms of the shortcomings of our existing facilities. So, and that comes into play both location, response time, providing all the needs, cost, will it get approved, you know, can it be approved? I think all of those decisions, you know, kind of led up to this, and we kind of just have to take it from there. Especially given we really have a relatively short time frame, honestly, to get everything ready for a May vote, so.
Are there any other discussions, points, comments people want to make on before we move on to the next agenda item? Okay. So the next one was we're going to review we had a quick presentation to be done at the town meeting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go over to the podium there where I have it on laptop, but I just, the idea is, obviously town meeting is gonna have a lot of questions when, you know, we have another warrant article that comes up. It's also our only opportunity, I suspect, to get in front of town meeting as a committee or to do a presentation before the, you know, the May town meeting, which would be the vote on the project. So I thought it would be beneficial to just sort of set everyone's expectation of like where we're at, how we got there, and sort of what we're doing, just to kind of get ahead of people maybe wondering and thinking and going off on the side and stuff, so.
Do we have an agenda for tonight? Was it passed out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
When's the town meeting?
13th?
13th? Yeah, I thought it was.
It's
11th
November?
Veterans Day.
yeah, it's coming up.
Oh, next week.
Yeah, 13th.
So I think I'll just run through this real quick, and then there's still some holes and stuff that need to be filled in, but I just wanted to get sort of everybody's take on it, and then we can kind of refine it and figure out, it's pretty short too, right? So
Is there a time limit they give us or no for the presentation?
I wish. No, there's no time limit on town meeting, other than if it reaches midnight, they have to suspend and then restart the next day. But, so really, this is just a timeline of kind of the whole thing. So, historically, what happened, the previous work, what we've been doing, currently, and what the rest of the timeline would be. So in this case, and I get different dates as I go through different documents, but the genesis for this for me is, Mark and I were on the master plan committee. I think it officially was approved in 2019, but we did a lot of work in 2017, 2018, which pretty much came with a recommendation that the current facilities were inadequate for what we needed. So just to set the stage, we have the current building HQ opens in 1964, and this one, Station 2 here, was 1984, where they slapped some garage doors on, as we've all seen. In 1995 is when they added the second floor to the HQ building, which basically built it out as big as it can be, is my understanding, given the floodplain and the structural integrity of the apparatus roof and those sorts of things. So that pretty much maxed out expansion at the site there. And then I believe it's 2003 that the department became full-time. I saw that in like the 2006
Close.
master plan. Is that good enough date?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So at that point, we transitioned from call, right?
We had full-time around the clock, even in 2000. It was just a different type of schedule.
Okay.
So 2000 is really when you went full-time
Well, all right.
around the clock. They were just different shifts.
Sure. All right. So I think the point here is that that's when the nature of the needs change for the department, right? So you built two buildings with the idea that it was all call or mostly call. And then in 2000, we've shifted the use, right? But we didn't, we have buildings built for a different purpose. And then in 2017, that's when, on the master plan, we put in there that, hey, these buildings aren't, it's all the same stuff, right? Nothing's changed since 2017, really, other than you guys tore down the stage over there. But, the deficiencies are still there. And there was a recommendation which is the current master plan at this point, that the fire especially needs to be addressed. So then this is where I've got a bunch of gaps, and I was hoping maybe Kevin was going to be here to help fill that in. But essentially, this is what happened, with the Public Safety Advisory Committee and the previous committee, right? So, there was a feasibility study that was done that concluded ultimately to look at a centralized public safety to address the needs of police and fire. At the same time, that's when the Public Safety Advisory Committee was formed. Sometime between 2019 and 2023, that's where I've got some gaps. 21?
I think.
I'm sure if you email that to Kevin too, he could
Yeah,
probably respond and.
Yeah, I think that's fine. So
Yeah.
we think it's probably 2021 then that, we had conceptual designs for a centralized public safety.
I do recall some meetings during COVID and the shutdown and
Yeah,
virtual stuff.
I'm pretty sure it was 2021 or late 2021, early 2022.
How about I just do this?
That looks great.
So 2023 was basically when we realized it wasn't going to be feasible, right? That's where one location was a problem. I know that, right? I think they put it out twice. Please sell us your land. There was only a couple sites that were feasible to have a single fire station and still remain with the call times. That I know.
Correct.
Those two properties are both still mostly vacant, but we put out calls, please sell it to us, a couple times, and nobody responded. So I think that's the point where the site became an issue. And then basically from that, the decision, that's where the changes come, where we say, hey, let's take the police out of it. Let's just replace headquarters. I do know originally the idea was to tear this building down. And then shortly right after that is when the Chuck's property became available. And that's when everything shifted to say, hey, if we can buy that, then that's a good location for this, right? In terms of response times, replacing the west side station. So am I?
Yes, and this site also included having to look at taking the Perros land, or it's now
Yeah, there was a whole
there's
discussion
more
about
land that was needed in order to do it.
yeah. Plus, it took one of the little field from the middle school. I know the conceptual design there.
It would disrupt the school administration building for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, anything else within that time frame that people think would be important to highlight, or, again, like I said, I think the point here is that there was a lot of previous work that led to the decision at the bottom here, which was, disband the Public Safety Advisory Committee, form a new committee specific towards a fire HQ, which ultimately became on the 10 Prospect site. Right, so, okay. So then current timeline. In 2023, there was a special town meeting that approved $100,000 for designs of a new fire station on West Street, which then immediately shifted to 10 Prospect. Right. The January 30th special town meeting approved the purchase of the Chuck site and all the associated costs as a site for the fire HQ replacement. And in August 2024, we started our work, right? And our mandate is to prepare a project plan to present to town meeting and town residents in May. Right, so that's where we would be today. Then the future timeline, there's a warrant article on this town meeting that we'd be presenting at. Reallocate some cost savings from the demolition, which I saw is well underway now, I think. To fund the owner project manager to assist us during this design phase, getting everything ready. We'll continue to work with the architect and the OPM to get everything prepared. There will be a May 2025 town meeting warrant article to approve or not the project. And then that one will be the way these usually work, because town meeting is before the general election. So town meeting votes to approve a project with the contingency that it's approved in the election. And then the May election, which is usually a week later, would be a ballot measure to approve the funding mechanism as well as the project itself, right? So I think, and I'll talk to Ed about it, but I think they were looking at Prop 2.5 override to do this. But that's going to be one of the things that we work on, and we don't have an answer yet of like what the funding mechanism will be. I'll leave that up to the town manager to give us some options or some suggestions or both of things to consider. That's really all I think we need to present to town meeting, unless we want to add something about like what does the OPM do, but we've provided that in their packet. They'll get with the warrant. So there's that explanation we approved last meeting that explains what the OPM is, what they'll do for us, why we want to hire it. If there's questions on things like timeline, I know we have the RFP to look at that will drop right after approval, basically. So you're looking at January essentially to hire the OPM to help us. So
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the Chuck's property was purchased solely for the intent of a fire station going on it only. It wasn't purchased as a public safety, for a public
Right.
safety building to go on there. It just so happens that another building could fit on that site, but originally it was bought solely for a fire station.
Yeah, yeah, and the warrant article does not actually say the purpose of the property,
Yeah,
but there was a presentation that was skipped, that I'm sure said that. But I think everybody, like town meeting, voted to just skip the presentation and vote, because I think everybody had already made up their mind at that point, so. And there's nothing we like more than sitting through presentations at town meetings. So. Anything else in this? I mean, I think this is, like I said, it's our chance, really our one chance to get up in front of town meeting and say, this is what we're doing. This is how we got there. Answer any questions that they're going to have, before we actually have a project to present. And obviously we'll do a lot of work before the vote in May, to do presentations and special meetings for people to come take a look. But in my experience, those are not well attended. Even the town meeting prep meetings are not well attended. Most people just come to town meeting. Yeah.
Do you think we should put some bullets into, say, the reasons for the OPM at this
We
point?
could. I went back and
3 or
forth
4
on it
bullets.
because we did prepare a printout that's going to be mailed to them that explains what it is. We certainly could put more.
Could just make a
Here.
slide maybe, or you could even make another slide that says benefits of OPM
Yeah.
and just put a couple of bullets like you're saying.
I think that's going to be the major
Sure.
focal point.
I mean, I think the good thing here is that this is just a reallocation of money.
Yeah.
It's not, so I'm hoping that actually makes this a little easier to be
I don't actually
approved.
know
I
what
don't
the
know.
benefits are, but
Well, Alex can give you those. We'll let him.
I think we also have the little paragraph that we did for the,
yeah,
Yeah.
which I don't have with me. It's over there, but
I don't think you want to your point, duplicate anything, because that's usually when questions get asked, right? If you have something that you mailed out, and then something that's also on the packet, and if you just have a bullet point that says information was mailed out to you, if you have any questions, I mean, that's why I get concerned when you see duplicate
sure.
information,
Yeah, I
That's a
can do
good
that.
point too.
So if you do something like,
The OPM is not an option. It's a requirement of the state law, is that correct?
Once you get building,
During the construction.
during the
phase.
construction.
But we all know that if you don't have guidance, directions, okay, and some experience come to the table with you, okay, your OPM could very much oversee a design that you really don't want. Okay, so it's much better to have the OPM be part of the design process, okay, to get all of those, oh, by the way, did you think of this kind of?
Great.
okay,
yeah,
so-
and I think
we
that's
all
what we
understand that.
say in our little mailing too,
I
is
have
that
it if you need it.
yeah, it's I probably actually have it right here. The purpose of it is to assist us with a lot of the technical aspects of designing the project, right?
Right.
And that's I think what we explained there as well, is it's like we have a lot of expertise on the committee, but we're all volunteer, spare time committee, whereas an OPM is an allocated resource whose mandate is to, take care of all the little details that we probably won't have time to, dig into. So, yeah.
I like the piece about required by law, even at the later point, but, just to
So
put it
Yeah,
out
and
there.
that- I mean, that does say it.
The reallocation of money that we're looking for is only going to bring us to getting it to the vote. We're also, the next step, the OPM will come out of the fire station budget for the next half of that. So this is just to get us to that first piece.
Yeah, I believe the
this is
allocation is going to give us enough money to get us to bid. So past, because the RF, when we get to the RFQ, we did say that I think we have funding January to June is the way we've worded it in the RFQ, which would get us into something ready for people to submit bids against, which I think is the right cutoff. And then obviously the funding of the the next phase of that would be included as part of the budget of the whole project, so.
I see the point that's being made, but I still think it's a good idea to stick that out there in front of them, just, because it's gonna say, we know we gotta do it anyhow.
Yeah, it's in the mailer.
Yeah. I
You
think,
say, I think
that
I
was-
even showed, did I quote the law, the actual chapter, and,
You just
I
said
s-
Mass General Law.
yeah, you didn't actually quote
all
that.
right, I copied some of that from other towns that had OPM statements on their websites and stuff, so, but.
I would agree, though, if it's in the information, keep it short. You know, are you comfortable fielding any potential questions? And if you are, then I think we're good.
Yeah, or anybody else that wants to go. I mean, you know, it's basically up to the moderator to identify, you know, and give the floor to people. So anyone on the committee can.
I'm just concerned, okay, that the presentation gets buttonholed like it did at the last town meeting, okay, when it said, you know, we've heard enough presentations, let's just bring it to a vote. Okay, so all of the work, all of the information for the, doesn't get presented, okay, those who aren't informed, okay, are left, you know, high and dry, at their own fault.
So in this case, and we'll have to talk with town manager, but I believe we can do this as part of the first article on the warrant, which is presentations from town administration committees, et cetera, so that the town meeting basically wouldn't probably want to skip that. In the case of the purchase of the Chuck property, that was a special town meeting. That was the only warrant article. There was a, you know, pretty sizable presentation, I think, to go along with it that some people had already seen, some people had already known what was going on through work with the other committees. I think everybody already knew at that point and just said, hey, I don't want to sit here for another 45 minutes when we already know we're going to vote. And it was approved like 82-3 or something like that. I can go back and look, but it was overwhelmingly approved by town meeting. So.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. So I can dress this up a little bit and then I'll send it around for everybody to see. And then Mark, I guess we'll figure out getting on the agenda and stuff, so.
Okay,
Thank you for doing it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, the next is just next item on the agenda is just an update of Tecton and their work and stuff. They are on schedule to have an updated floor plans and presentation for our next meeting, which we have scheduled for the November 18th. So they're diligently working through all the issues that we brought to them in the last 3-hour meeting, and then some of the further discussions that the town managers and stuff had with, in terms of the space and stuff. So that is moving forward. The next item is the review of the RFP for the OPM. So it's big. I mean, I think the biggest thing, it's just following a format that has already been set up in the town for RFQ and for OPMs and stuff. It's Mass General Law 149 that it falls under, and that requires. And then I think it's 149, or it's 44A, or whatever. That's where it gets into the, if you once you're over, I think it's a $5 million project.
0.5.
1.5.
Or 1.5. They need an OPM involved and to help guide the way through it and stuff. So I think the discussion really is that, hopefully it gets passed at the town meeting coming up here for the allocation of the monies. And then it's, if everybody's in agreement that we've had long discussions previously when we talked about this, about, ready to pull the trigger to go out to bid and have somebody probably on board January to June, as it's made as a presentation right now, with the anticipation that everything passes, that you keep on moving, after June, and you have to, work out the rest of the details at that point. But I think that's kind of the issues that are out there. I don't know if there's more discussions, more questions.
Is the RFP that we're going out for, that we're going out with, assuming this gets approved at town meeting, is that gonna carry over, like our expectations, do they carry over through the project, or is it just RFP, and is the RFP just for,
It's expectations that you're gonna carry over into the next phase and be part of it to keep going.
I can't even imagine why you would switch unless you really hated the OPM you got.
Right.
But it's not written, so it's only funded to June, right? So the future funding, they could RFQ another, different, separately if they wanted to, but I think it gives the town the option to basically, as long as town meeting approves the funding as part of the project, then the money would be there to pay them through the, construction and build out and occupation and whatever else, would go with it, so.
So with the OPM, are we required to take the lowest price? Or
Just gonna ask that.
No.
Okay, because that's a really good, I was just
It's-
actually
it's
gonna
in
ask the
here.
same
Yeah, it's
question.
Yeah,
the most
it's in
responsible, yeah.
So you can fall into the
There
response.
is a selection criteria in the RFQ. It's buried pretty deep in there, but it does not have anything that I saw that said must take the lowest cost. It is a screening mechanism. So does it meet all the qualifications or no? Yes, goes in a pile. No, immediate. Don't have to look at them anymore. In the pile, it's a evaluation criteria.
Yeah,
For us
and
to
it's
stack rank them essentially and start with the top.
right, and they'll be most likely have one or two or three maybe presentations from the different OPMs that are through the in front of the entire committee, so that we can decide make decisions from there. And
Do we make that
But-
final decision?
Yep.
We make a recommendation.
Recommendation, okay.
And then there's a negotiation with whoever we put on top. And if that fails to come to some kind of amenable agreement, then it goes to number 2 on the list.
Who is providing the people that we're gonna look at? The names? Firms? Who's coming
I
up with that?
assume there's a list of.
yeah, it's a public.
goes in the central register and they choose to bid on it if they want
Okay.
or not.
Gotcha.
I assume anybody that does this knows how to find them
Yeah.
when they get it issued.
And
Yeah.
they search for these.
Understood.
I don't think we need to vote on this tonight, only because we're going to be meeting right after the town meeting, so that if it doesn't pass, then it was a wasted vote. If it does, we'll be ready for it.
Don't know if we need to vote on it at all, to be honest.
Well, yeah. Have to go back and look at that. Okay.
Yeah, because it would be our vote was, do we ask for the money?
Right.
And then do we include descriptive things, but, I don't know if we have to approve the actual RFQ. I think that's town business, but you can ask.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to delay it if we can avoid
No.
it too. The timeline's gonna be
Yep.
pretty tight.
Any other discussions, comments on the OPM issues? Okay. Next item on there was just public comment, and seeing nobody here in public, there won't be any comments there. So, given that we're at the end of the agenda for tonight, just remind everybody that the next meeting is Monday, November 18th at 5:30 back in this room. And the Tecton will be making a detailed presentation and stuff. So, given all that, I take a.
Can we get copies of the presentation ahead of time, or do we have to wait?
I will ask again. See what they have.
Sometimes they're working on them right up to the
Right, till the very
meetings.
last minute, yeah.
The other thing that I brought up time before was an electronic schedule with all the items listed and the square footage and the cost available on a spreadsheet that we could actually play with ourselves just to see what ifs after we get meetings and things change around,
We'll have to. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a big ask. I don't know if square footage is for spaces and stuff. Yeah, I think that's an easy thing, but
For the program.
for actual having a budget value to say, you know, if that increases by, you know, X, you know, 1 foot, you know, it's gonna cost X dollars, I don't know.
Well, somebody's gonna keep track of it somehow, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's, yeah, we're hoping with the OPM and with, I mean, the architect's gonna do his, you know, on for doing estimates as well, but,
Yeah.
you know,
So you think that's
kinda like the
OPM
chicken
job?
watching the hen house, but
Yeah. Plus, I think anything
another foxtrot.
like that, we would probably want to include it on the committee website as
Oh.
documents.
I would vote no for that.
Yeah.
Keeping that information on the website, not because it's not valuable information, but usually that just, you know, in my experience, when you get to that level of detail, right, the architects and the construction managers and the OPMs, that's their job to make sure that they fit within the box that we give them. Our job is to make that box, you know.
But I think you could get an electronic version of the program that we got, this one, right? We should be able to get that distributed to the committee
Yeah,
in electronic form. Because that's what the architect's basing the design off of.
Can you put that on Excel?
I didn't make it, so.
I don't, but can we do it on Excel? Whoever does it. Or maybe it needs to be done by one of us, I don't know.
we could ask them how it was done, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, it looks like it's a Word document.
Okay, so, any other?
I just have one question before we adjourn. Would it be beneficial to have a public walkthrough for the facilities before the town vote in May? So the public can see what we saw? My influence?
Yeah, it might be, it probably would be. And that'll be some of the stuff I think we need to put together in presentations and stuff, over the, as we get more drawings and ideas on budgets and stuff, that take it around, that's probably a good idea, to have them go through.
Yeah, I mean,
the
thinking
availability.
about it, if we work backwards from a vote in May, we're gonna be having, April is gonna be presentations and try to get as much out to the public as possible. I know Chief Coleman has said at any time anybody wants to take a tour, call him, right? And he'll be happy to have somebody else probably do it for him, but, you know, I don't think they want to keep it a secret of, you know, what the existing conditions are. I do think we should, and they did have open houses,
Multiple open houses.
right? So, but I do
Maybe
think we
20
should probably
people.
have more, even if not very many people attend them. I think probably, as I work backwards from the date, it's probably something this committee is working on in March, February, depending on where we're at with the designs and things of like what's our sort of our rollout plan for the project, right? And we'll want to have public comment meetings, obviously. You know, I would say we'd want to have at least 2 of those because you know you don't want to have it on a day that somebody's like, oh, I wanted to go, but you know my kid's baseball team had playoffs or something.
Do we entertain some sort of like a video walkthrough that they can watch, opposed to not everyone necessarily has the time out of their day to come
Well,
down?
there was a video of the walkthrough we did. So it's
It's
already,
on there? Oh, is it?
it's
Okay,
already
yeah.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we
That
can.
night that we did the,
Oh.
main station and the,
Yeah.
and, well, actually, it's, I don't know if we did it through the police station, but we did it, no, we didn't do it through there, but I think we did it through,
West Street and
West
Auburn,
Street.
Yeah.
Well, I think it included the dispatch.
He might have did that. He might have been in there with the video with the dispatch,
dispatch
too.
area,
Yeah.
okay.
as well,
Yeah.
So that can be, you know, part of that. But yeah, I think we have to, you know, spend some time as we get get our heads on the project of what it's gonna be. You know, we're gonna have to roll this out, and for me, it looks that's probably April that we're doing that. So, you know, March, February, we probably have to plan all out, you know, everything. Not that we can't think about it now, but, I certainly think that we're gonna wanna, be very public about it and probably very loud about it. Because you know, we want to see big turnout on a vote, so.
okay. We're good, okay. So, seeing as we're kind of got to an end here, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.